Imagine this for a second. Two people, same income, same debts. One of them pays every bill calmly, like clockwork. The other misses a payment, catches up, falls behind again. Fast forward just 1 year. One of them can basically rent money cheaply. The other has to pay a painful premium. Same income, same debts. The only real difference? Their money reputation. Here's the key idea for today. Think of credit and borrowing less like a math test and more like a series of trust experiments. Every time you borrow, the world is quietly asking you a question. If we hand you this money, what happens next? And your answer isn't your opinion, it's your track record. That track record becomes your money reputation, and that reputation shapes how easily you move through life. Renting an apartment, getting a phone plan, financing a car, even qualifying for certain jobs. In many ways, credit is like a backstage pass. When you have it, you hardly notice it. When you don't, you suddenly find doors closed that you didn't even know needed permission. Across different countries and systems, the details change, but the real test is the same. You're not proving perfection, you're proving reliability under stress. Do you communicate? Do you prioritize? Do you follow through when money gets tight? That's what people are really watching. Now, here's something important that often gets missed. You already have a money reputation, even if you've never seen a credit score in your life. Landlords, local shops, loan apps, even relatives who lend you cash, they're all keeping a quiet, mental file on how you handle promises. In some places, that file becomes an official number. In others, it just lives in people's memories, in group chats, in community networks. Either way, your access to borrowed money works like a door with a peephole. Before they open it, people take a look at what they know about you, then decide how wide they're willing to open that door. So let's reframe this. Think of credit not as a snapshot of how much you earn today, but as a slowly unfolding story about how you handle pressure. Two people can look identical on paper. Same job, same salary, same rent. But their money stories can be completely different depending on what they do when deadlines, temptations, and surprises show up. In that story, every borrowed dollar is like a line of dialogue. Are you careful with your promises? Do you rush into commitments? When something goes wrong, do you quietly fix it, or wait until someone has to chase you? Lenders are reading those lines. They're not grading your intentions. They're watching your behavior. Now, around the world, this story is written in different languages. In some places, it's the classic stuff. Bank statements, credit card histories. In other places, it's mobile money patterns, saving circles, how your group loan is performing. Sometimes it's even simpler. Do you reliably refill your prepaid phone? Do you pay the internet bill on time? Different data, same question. When you say, "I'll pay you back," how much faith should we put in that sentence? Here's a useful way to see it. Borrowing turns your habits into signals. Paying on time says, "I put commitments first." Paying late, but communicating, says, "I struggle sometimes, but I'm accountable." Ignoring messages says, "When things get hard, I disappear." Let that sink in for a second. Those signals don't just affect whether you hear yes or no. They also change the price of money. A strong reputation turns interest into something closer to a small service fee. A weak or unknown reputation makes every loan feel more like hazard pay for the lender. This is why small and steady often beats big and dramatic. A modest store account you always clear. A tiny digital loan you repay early. A family debt you settle without being reminded. Each of those is like a sturdy brick in a wall. One flashy big repayment after a mess of broken promises. That's just paint on a cracked surface. It looks good for a moment, but the structure underneath is still shaky. Over time, your money reputation will either shrink your world or quietly expand it. The pattern is the same almost everywhere. Doors open faster for people whose promises are boringly reliable. Options get narrower for people whose promises are exciting, but uncertain. Here's the encouraging part. This is a story you can rewrite. Not overnight, and not by suddenly becoming perfect. You change it by making your financial behavior so predictably solid that over time, even skeptics relax when they hear your name. Let me give you a picture. Think of your money reputation like the way a rideshare app learns about a driver. Each trip they complete on time builds a pattern. Short rides, long rides, rush hour chaos. It all feeds the system's quiet confidence that they'll get from pickup to drop-off without drama. One cancelled ride doesn't ruin them, but a streak of chaos makes the algorithm cautious. Your borrowing life works the same way. Now, another picture. Imagine you're joining a community sports team. At first, the coach doesn't know you, so you start on the bench. Each practice you show up on time. You follow plays. You speak up when you're injured. Over a few weeks, the coach trusts you with more minutes. Then tougher situations. Not because you're the most talented, but because you're the least risky to rely on. Borrowing is like that. You're getting playing time with other people's money. Early on, you may only get small, simple passes, but if you handle them well, no surprises, no disappearing acts, the coach quietly widens your role. Eventually, they're comfortable putting you in the game when it really counts. As money reputations spread across apps and platforms, your choices may start to matter in rooms you never enter. That's where this backstage pass idea becomes powerful. Your reputation can work, for you or against you. A missed bill can echo like an off-key note in an otherwise good song. Enough harmony, though, and new instruments join in. Cheaper loans, smoother approvals, kinder terms. The challenge ahead is learning how to compose your financial soundtrack while other people still control the speakers. So let's bring this down to you. Your money reputation is not a final exam you either pass or fail. It's more like a playlist you keep editing. You won't control every track. Job loss happens. Illness happens. Life throws surprises. But you can control the rhythm. You can answer calls instead of avoiding them. You can adjust your spending when things get tight. You can ask for new terms early instead of waiting until it's a crisis. Over years, those small edits turn scattered noise into a steady beat that lenders, landlords, and honestly, your future self can trust. So let's wrap this up with a clear takeaway. Here's what we've really been talking about today. First, credit is your money reputation. It's not just about numbers on a screen. It's the story your behavior tells about whether people can rely on you when money is involved. Second, every interaction with borrowed money sends a signal. Paying on time, communicating when you're struggling, or disappearing when things get hard. All of that shapes whether people open doors for you and how expensive those doors are to walk through. Third, small, steady, boring reliability beats big, dramatic gestures. Those tiny loans you repay, those quiet promises you keep, those no-drama bill payments. That's the brick-by-brick work that builds a strong financial reputation. And finally, this story is rewritable. You're not stuck with whatever happened last year or 5 years ago. By showing up, communicating, and following through, especially when life gets messy, you can steadily turn that backstage pass into something that works for you. Now, let's turn all of this into real action. Here's your simple plan for this week. 1. Take a few minutes to jot down the key ideas you remember from this episode about credit, borrowing, and your financial reputation. Writing it down helps your brain treat it as something to act on, not just something you heard. 2. Look at your own life and pick one specific place this shows up right now. Maybe it's a bill you tend to pay late. Maybe it's a small loan with a friend. Maybe it's a digital loan you're thinking about taking. Choose one. 3. Take one small action this week to improve your money reputation in that area. That might mean paying something on time. It might mean sending a message to explain and agree a new date. It might mean deciding not to borrow until you can handle it smoothly. Even a tiny step counts. If you do just those 3 things, you're not just listening to a podcast episode, you're actively shaping your financial reputation, one small deliberate choice at a time. And that's how doors start to open, quietly at first, then more and more. You're building a money story that future you will be grateful you wrote.